her daddy issues will become your issue. You can't love a woman who's never been loved.
Don't talk to me about love.
She's never had love from the first man who's supposed to love her. Her daddy, father, dearest, daddy.
So my dad left me when I was young, very young, under 10. And I remember I used to look out my bedroom window wondering when he'd come back for me, when he would come and visit. And he ended up coming back, I think when I was about 10 years old, and I ended up being terrified. I found out later he didn't like the way I looked. I never saw him again after that. So because no one ever talked to me about my dad, why he left, how he wasn't able to offer healthy love, stability, how he had low self-worth, how he was abused, any of those things, I internalized a belief system based on what I experienced.
And any man who's ever dated a woman with daddy issues, I mean, you know this already, don't you? A lot of her thought process in terms of men is going to come from her hurt. The hurt she felt from daddy.
I've never felt that.
The lack of love, lack of care, warmth, and comfort that she never got from daddy at all. Sadly, for a lot of women, they have a skewed view of relationships, genuine affection, and care. For the man dating a woman like this, she's going to put you through a lot of hell for many reasons. One key reason is you do not act or behave like the first man who was supposed to love her. So because of that, a lot of women will not understand when genuine love is being shown to them. They only understand hurt and fear and heartbreak.
Unfortunately, a lot of us have this internal belief system that we're largely unaware of, and it is the literal reason we attract what we attract, especially in partnerships and relationships. So we're operating from our subconscious mind, and that is where those belief systems are stored. So from age 0 to 7, we're in a hypnosis state. With those belief systems get stored, and then as adults, we're operating from our subconscious mind 95% of the time. So I grew up as an adult woman with the belief systems operating from that subconscious mind, that number one, I wasn't worth a man's time. Number two, I had to prove how much I was worth staying around for.
Well. Exactly. And this goes back to the bare minimum topic. A lot of women with traumatic childhoods who now suffer from CPTSD, Jennies, as I call them, a lot of these women don't understand you don't need to prove yourself to certain men. Men can see your worth as a woman, for the most part, a lot of men, but because of a lack of daddy's love, these women believe they have to prove themselves to a man they like or want. So instead of a woman understanding that this man should want you just the same, if not more, they think and believe they have to jump through hoops to prop up men that do not care about them. The sad part about this is, it's always the men that are not toxic, abusive dudes who get these women on the back end mostly, and then have to deal with and try and help her fix her issues.
I don't give a fuck.
The issues that he never caused, the issues that further men she dated that were bad for her added to her. It's always men on the back end. The poor, nice guys, decent men.
I love her so much, I don't care.
Suckers.
The men that women realize, no, that's actually real. A man should want and care about me. Those dudes are the ones that suffer from this.
I don't care.
Because toxic, abusive men, they're just following her pattern. They're not a red flag for her. That's normal. So if you're somewhat of a regular man, decent man, and you fall in love with a traumatized woman with daddy issues, yeah, it's good luck. If you've been there, you know, nothing you will do will ever make her happy.
Nothing!
Because she's not used to a man doing anything for her.
Another one was that I was disposable. Since my dad had left me so easily, I must be easy to leave. So I grew up attracting men who made me feel like I was disposable and easy to leave.
Of course.
So I found myself as an adult attracting partners that made me feel disposable, abandoned, like they would leave easily, and where I had to keep proving and chasing. So as I had been abandoned, I was co-creating realities with people as an adult where I was abandoning myself constantly.
Interesting.
So these belief systems led to sickness, depression, even cutting.
Damn!
And the sad thing is that these belief systems that I had formed, they were not even real. They're not true.
And it didn't matter how true they were or were not. Her belief would make them real. Her belief would bring them into reality. Using her as an example for many women. One thing I do enjoy about TikTok is made me step back a bit and look at women again differently, because I'm like, damn.
This is fucking tragic.
Wow. Some situations you hear women describe baffle the absolute F out of me. And sadly, what I'm about to say is not advice, promotion of anything. It's more realization. I did not know as a man, I could get away with so much.
You could pretty much get away with anything.
Watching all these TikToks and reading comments from thousands of women, it's like, fuck, I could have gotten away with this.
Then slept with my sister.
I could have done this.
I think he's cheating on me.
My God.
He used me.
Did I waste my time being a decent man? Partially. partially, so I've been a dickhead. But my God, I didn't know men could do this. And you wouldn't leave?
Nope.
Oh my God. So for as bad as it sounds, hearing so many women's confessions and stories about their past relationships, even at my big age, I've learned so much about what some of these women are going through.
No one cares.
But furthermore, it made me understand why some men are self-sabotaging by dating certain women. We know about daddy issues already. Everybody knows about daddy issues. But hearing how deep some of these stories go with some of these women and how they end up growing up and choosing purposely toxic and abusive men, it does paint a broader picture of what we're dealing with as men. Dating or not, single or not, relationships, situationships, whatever you're doing. It does paint a broader picture. Now, some men wonder why certain toxic and abusive men seem to have so much fun. Like, my God, there's some toxic and abusive dudes who have never been single.
To this day.
But then if you understand the pattern, why would they be? There are lots of women out here that suffer from so much that, by you not being what they see as the standard, the norm, you're an anomaly. You should not be. Again, they're waiting for the shoe to drop, a shoe that for you never existed. But for them, wow.
So how I started to heal that wound was understanding my dad at that age was not able to care for me. He couldn't even care for himself. He had been abused himself as a kid. He was abandoned himself as a kid, often left to fend and find meals in the bins for himself and his younger sister. So I forgave that. And I completely let that go. My dad finally reached out a year ago. We hadn't been in touch since that incident when I was about 10. He was just hoping to talk. At the time, I had made the decision not to. I just thought I would wait a bit longer. Unfortunately, he died on the line with 911. I believe he's having a stroke. So I never got that opportunity, which was difficult, but I've now made peace with it. So I really was committed to healing deeply my subconscious mind. And one way that I did that was through hypnotherapy and rapid rewiring, which I now teach. But I really wanted to stop attracting, like the classic assholes, avoidance, abusers, maybe stop attracting the Harden Scotts and the Christian Greys, and just start attracting like that really healthy love.
And that is what's sad about all of this, because healthy love isn't normal for some of these women. Sadly, healthy love isn't normal. But the point, again, from a man's perspective, think of how many years these women will go through dating these toxic, abusive assholes on purpose. Years. For a lot of women, it's their early years, up until they're 30, because a lot of women say, by the time they're 30, 35, 40, they've learned a lot and they've realized that a lot of men they were dating were absolutely crap. However, again, whatever man they date after that point, he's going to get lesser of a woman. Now, I'm not saying lesser because she's aged. I'm not even going to use the age thing in the lesser. In terms of she's been through so much turmoil, trauma, pain, heartache, lack of love, lack of a healthy relationship and bond, that by the time you meet her, you being a decent man, you are only going to get scraps of a woman.
It tastes like shit.
You are only going to get just the dregs of a woman that was once. Now, even if we say it's not her fault, it's not the women's fault for what they have gone through younger and grown up to understand and seek. Even if we say it's not the woman's fault, from men's perspective, a lot of men end up with trash already, really not much or anything because of this. Hence, a woman with daddy issues will always bring a man down who doesn't display any form of that abandonment or abuse.
Outstanding.
So I started the rapid rewiring. I started the deep work. I began telling myself a new story. I began instilling and embedding entirely new belief systems inside of my subconscious mind. So just a couple of the rewires I started telling myself was, it turns me on when a man values me. It turns me on when a man values me.
That is so weird. Like, fuck, that is weird. Like, no offense to this woman, lovely woman, that's fucking weird. Like, as a man, that's weird for me because I'm like, of course I'm turned on by a woman valuing me. Why wouldn't you? Please, woman, you don't know what you're looking at. But from her perspective, she had to teach herself that. When you hear women tell their stories, what perspective is she talking from? Because that sentence alone is like, that's baffling. Wow. You have to teach yourself to be turned on when a man sees your value. Damn, that's disturbing.
I am worth fighting for, and I defend myself by setting boundaries. I am enough. So I healed and shed the fake belief systems that were clouding up my frequency and that were responsible for that wounded energy that I was putting out there. So I taught myself how to set boundaries, and that wasn't easy, but I did it. I taught myself how to be respected, grounded, and magnetic so that I could attract men with integrity who more matched my frequency of healing that I was putting out.
Makes sense.
I also taught myself how to be able to receive healthy love. And this is a really big component for a lot of people that I work with. They want that love, but they don't know how to actually receive it. So that's something that I go really deeply into. And that's something that I've taught myself so that I would be able to actually be able to receive what I desired. And because I started choosing myself and stopped abandoning myself by choosing men who abandoned me, I started attracting men who chose me as well, who chose.
Now, that thought process she has, you'd be surprised how many women do not have that thought process. And this is where it comes to a point where if more women admitted things like this, we would understand and see why so many women end up in some really fucked up and weird situations. Because men understand a lot of bad men are out there. We know that. We know abusive men are out there. It's how these women end up with these men is the interesting aspect. Because women are gloating about men being single nowadays. All these single lonely men. If her past was nothing but toxic abusive dudes, then what is she talking about? She's never known good anyway.
Gotcha.
So these women boasting about all these single lonely men, you're boasting about your past that was shit anyway. You never had a good man. You never had a man that cared about you enough to see you as a decent woman or to even see you as a human. And that is not men's fault. That's her own traumatized and broken perspective on life.
I really discovered that I had always been lovable. I had always been enough, and I had always been worth love. I never had to chase or prove. I never had to put myself in these situations where I felt unseen, disregarded, abandoned, and caused all that chronic stress. It was all healed now. So I'm here to tell you, you are worth being loved as well. You are enough, and I love you.
How do women talk so much about the bare minimum topic when a lot of them don't even feel they're worth being loved? Does not make sense.
Stop attracting, like the classic assholes, avoidance, abusers.
Have a nice day.
This is fucking tragic.